Hello, my divinities. Welcome, welcome. So for today's collective, I'm going to try this new thing where I limit how much I shuffle on camera. So I already pulled the oracle cards for today, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me turn on the incense real quick. We've got number 1, calendula, purity. Number 9, chamomile, inner peace. And number 17, gotu kola, higher consciousness, which is also an 8. 17 reduces down to an 8. All right. So let's go ahead and look at calendula, purity first. This represents innocence, childlike joy, humility, purity, new beginnings, trusting in life, and vitality. So it resembles the sun, a radiant, bright yellow or orange flower. It grows easily and spreads its joyful self across gardens, symbolizing the gesture of universal abundance. Solar herbs are those that neutralize poison and air in the recuperation of vital forces. And aid, I think, is what it's trying to say. Aid, not air, in the recuperation of vital forces. Calendula's gentle and abundant power reminds us of the realms of light. To be allowed entry within these angelic realms requires childlike innocence and humility. Don't allow pain from the past to disable your ability to dream a new life. Calendula represents the pure impulse to create, vitality and creativity needed to step into a new journey. The radiance of calendula is a superconductor. Be very aware and selective with your intentions when using her energy within a ritual, as she greatly amplifies your intentions. Ooh, exciting. And chamomile, number 9. So chamomile represents peace, restoration, softness, purity, graceful power, inner peace, delight, and harmony. The word chamomile is derived from the Greek camomila, meaning ground apple. In Spain, it has been called manzanilla, or little apple, for hundreds of years, a reference to the plant's refreshing, crisp, apple-like aroma. Chamomile flowers are traditionally used in teas, tinctures, and formulas to treat anxiety, insomnia, depression, digestive upset, as an antiseptic, and more. Yeah, Mexicans call it manzanilla too. We're not Spaniards, but we still call it that. So the guidance is, if you find yourself often triggered and consumed by small stresses, be aware that they accumulate, creating a chronic state of disharmony and fear. Chamomile today is reminding you to not project your fears onto life and others. Allow yourself a state of internal peace and give yourself the greatest love imaginable. Chamomile, like deer energy, instills a contained center of innocence, warmth, and light within us. Deer blesses us with the power of gentleness to heal our wounds and the heart-mind of wounded beings. Don't push hard to do the work. It's the gentleness of spirit that heals all. Interesting. I don't know if y'all can see. I just realized gotu kola is kind of like getting reflected on. Okay. Now, number 17. Okay, so gotu kola. This one is hermit, solitude, soul-searching, realization, greater knowing, and enlightenment. By the way, planetary-wise, gotu kola is connected to Mercury and the moon. Chamomile is the sun and the moon, and calendula is clearly the sun. I do think it's interesting that the sun and moon both came out twice. So I do feel this is a very... they're trying to harmonize masculine and feminine energy, whoever this reading is for. Okay, so it says some plants resemble the parts of the human body they affect, a natural phenomenon called the doctrine of signatures. And it proves to be true in the case of gotu kola, which is shaped like the human brain. For thousands of years, walnuts too. Walnuts are shaped like the human brain, and they're good for the brain. For thousands of years, it has been used in India for focus, cognitive function, and overall mental performance, creating a harmonizing, healing effect. You know what? I'm going to read the other part too. The Taoist master and herbalist Li Qingwen, I'm probably mispronouncing that, I'm sorry, who is said to have died at age 256, was a big proponent and student of this plant. It was also used to relax the nervous system, repair nerve trauma, and reduce stress and anxiety. In Ayurveda, gotu kola is classified as rasayana, or a masterful rejuvenating herb, due to its ability to restore function and balance. and nourish many aspects of the body and mind. Ancient Ayurvedic texts reference the herb's spiritually enhancing properties due to its balancing effect on the right and left brain, producing a heightened state of awareness. Modern science now confirms that Gotu Kola can restore brain cells and nerve function, improving blood circulation, restore digestion, and speed the healing of wounds. Gotu Kola is ruled by both Mercury and Uranus, as it not only increases circulation in the brain, it ignites alertness, concentration, and insightfulness. Also called the herb of enlightenment, it powerfully stimulates imagination, promoting lucid awareness and brilliance, which are traits embodied by both Mercury, the conscious mind, and Uranus, the higher self, also known as Atman in Sanskrit. So the guidance that comes with this, it says, Gotu Kola, like the wise hermit, signals the achievement of great wisdom through solitude and trust. You are entering a period of deep inner contemplation. Looking for answers requires solitude and disconnection from the regular casualties of life. Gotu Kola walks through the undiscovered pathways of the subconscious mind with precision, guided by the light of the northern star. You are moving into a new and higher state of being. If you are experiencing a sense of loneliness or alienation, you are perhaps living a reality where your own deep truths have been denied. This is a time for introspection, a time for rest, meditation, and inner work. Your consciousness is undergoing transmutation. Invoke your higher consciousness every day and leap into the portal with it. Fascinating. Okay. Very, very good. So if anything I read feels like it applies to you, I would look into these herbs and either use them for spiritual baths, use them in teas, use them in tinctures, use them however you feel guided to. Your intuition will tell you first of all, it'll tell you if you need these, and second of all, it will tell you how to use these, okay? So let's go ahead and start. I'm also drawn to a very earthy deck, so the first one at least. We're starting with the Seven of Bows, clearance. And that's so fascinating because normally the Seven of Bows, that would be the Seven of Wands, that would not be clearance. But in this deck, it changes. Page of Arrows, which is the Page of Swords, the little wren. Ooh. The Ten of Arrows, Instruction, which is like the Ten of Swords. Again, very different than normal. The Archer, okay. This is one of their major arcanas, but it's also different than normal. The Queen of Stones, which is the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Arrows, which is the Queen of Swords, Swan. And the Page of Bows, Stoat, which is like the Page of Wands. Overall energy, the Knight of Vessels, which is the eel. Very interesting. Okay. So let's keep this in mind. What an interesting variety we have here. Okay, so I want us to look at this eel first because oh, look what's beneath that. The Green Woman, which is like the Empress in this deck. Interesting. The eel in Celtic tradition can be used as a protector. Like there's a couple of, I believe there's a legend where Culain uses a spear that takes its name from an eel, and then the Morrigan assumed the form of an eel in battle. And so the eel is known as, a battle, a symbol of battle in Celtic world. So when you're looking at what it represents, the way that this deck represents the Knight of Vessels, which is like the Knight of Cups, it's attraction, conquest, seduction, a welcoming, compliance, agreement, induction, coming together, union, and arrival. So it really depends on why am I struggling with my words today? God. It depends on which is your story. Because is this you? Is this someone coming towards you? Is this something you're going through? Because it represents different things. It could be like you deciding you're going on this spiritual quest. It could be someone coming towards you that's in the middle of a spiritual quest, or they're, very seductive. They're a little addictive. It could represent, a situation that involves a lot of fantasy. It could be multiple things. So basically, y'all need to really pay attention to this card because it was the overall energy. How this energy connects with you. Is this you? So I'm gonna look at different things. So if it's a person, it's somebody who's charming, they're cultured and gallant. They can be sensitive, imaginative. They take their dreams seriously, but they run on high emotional current. And just like eels, right? When you think of eels, they can, I don't know why I'm struggling with my words today. I was trying to say they can shock you, but not all eels are electric eels, right? Only electric eels can shock you. But moray eels can bite you. Even though they're not poisonous, they can still harm you, right? So it's not like this is an unprotected creature, right? So even though they might be very charming, that doesn't mean they're harmless, because they do run on high emotional current. So they are, somebody who's attractive, easy to talk to. They can also be seductive and a smooth talker. They could play the field, or they just live in fantasy land. Now, that's not always bad. It depends on how they approach it, right? Now, if it's a process, it can be like somebody who's promoting harmony, exploiting an emotional situation. It can indicate cheating, or it can, at least in this deck, that's how it's connected. Or it can be discovering how to merge with a concept or get along with a certain person. And as an event, it can be describing a reception or a welcoming, compliance or accord, a quest, a union, a merger, fantasy, and introspection. So that's why I want you to keep it in mind, because it is the overall energy. And that's how this deck describes this energy. Okay, and when we clarify it, well, actually, we're not going to clarify the overall energy. But still, we want to keep all these energies in mind. Because a lot of people did come out. We had a Page of Swords, a Queen of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Page of Wands, and the Knight of Cups. So there is something going on here. It's either all the same person and it's different aspects of them, or it's multiple people and we're going to have to be weaving the story together, okay? So Seven of Bows, clearance. Let's look at that. So in this deck, the Seven of Bows, I don't know if y'all can tell, but this bow here that's on the ground is old. It's splintering. The string on it is broken. So these new staves here that are waiting to be made into bows are in complete contrast to the one that's already been used and needs to be discarded. So that's why it's called clearance, because it's talking about how some new things are being formed, but other things that no longer serve us need to be discarded. So that could be either a relationship, that could be a mental concept, that could be a belief system, that could be many, many things. So we want to keep this in mind as well. Now, let's look at the Page of Arrows, the little wren. That's so cute. Okay, so in this deck, the Page of Arrows, I want to read this little piece straight from the book. It says, Druids kept wrens as totem animals of augury and prophecy, and ritually sacrificed them on St. Stephen's Day, which was December 26th, because they were considered, guardians of the winter mysteries and things like that. So this could definitely represent watchfulness, mystery, determination, work, scholarship, wisdom, a vigilant guardian, study, application, wisdom, understanding. And because it's youth, that's why it's connected to determination and being very focused. So if it's a person, this is describing someone who is a good companion through trials and challenges, because they don't easily give up. They're very determined. This is a observant person who's very honest, but they could equally turn those skills to spying or curious snooping. This energy also learns things easily because they have an eye for detail, and they are dexterous and cunning in a tight place. If it's talking about a process, it's having fortitude through difficulties, daring and agility, determination, thinking the whole plan through, sitting on the fence. And when it's an event, it's describing a new skill or idea, a challenge, a negotiation, a contract that needs close attention, examinations, auditions, tests, and gossip. So already If this is somebody who's entering a new phase of their life, because maybe they are going on a quest of some sort, or they are meeting somebody who's like the eel, a little slippery, but they could be bringing some sort of test, some sort of challenge, that to be able to pass this challenge, someone would need to discard. And remember, two of these cards talk about purification, and then there's the higher consciousness. So someone needs to discard something that might hinder them in an upcoming test, an upcoming battle. And then we've got the 10 of Arrows, which is instruction. And I'm not sure if it's referencing the fact that this is a minor arcana, just like the 7 of Bows. But in the 10 of Arrows, this is about passing on skills. You know, here we have a father who's teaching his son how to nock the arrow before they release it. And so it's about instructions, about passing on skills. I don't know if this is somebody looking at you like the right person to pass skills off to, or you might be seeing someone else. Because remember, Page of Arrows is somebody who's clever. They learn quickly. However, we do have the Archer, which is a major arcana present. It came out right in the center. Let's read that one. Okay, so when we're talking about the Archer, it can represent the flaming arrows of the intellect, Artemis. This could be somebody who's connected to Artemis, the spirit of the hooded man, Orion, intuition, inspiration, and imagination, passing on great wisdom. So this could be Artemis, especially if you're connected to Artemis as a goddess. Now, what the card itself says, there's only a few things I want to read from it. It says the Celts placed written spells on their arrows, and Sioux Indian medicine arrows were painted with geometric designs and held special ritual significance, so that from early times the use of the bow took on a role in the harnessing and transmission of the will. Stringing the bow gives the wood a potential for the release of energy. Drawing the bow controls and harnesses that energy, and releasing the arrow with intent finally sends the archer's will through the air to its target. Just as spells and curses were loosed through the air by hunters and shamans, so we must ourselves tune in to this ancient process and become archers with quivers full of ideas and desires, capable of forming and focusing our aim in the steady drawing of our will, and then loosing our creative and intellectual drive in a controlled and effective way. The key to a smooth and accurate release of the arrow is a steady and relaxed state, both physically and mentally. As hunters in the forest, we need patience and cunning, as well as an intimate knowledge of the wildwood, to move with stealth towards the quarry. Then, with a cool and deliberate aim, the arrow must be released, itself containing something of our will and of our spirit on its flight towards its goal. Oh, and something else before I finish reading that. These were also talking about calming effects, right? They were talking about calming down the nervous system. Now, this represents the dawn of new adventure, folded in the web of universal potential, waits for you to string the bow of your imagination and loose the arrows of creativity. This is a time to be bold and commit to the hunting of new life and a better relationship with the world, as well as the fulfillment of wholesome ambition. Take a moment to gather your tools and steady your state of mind. Take careful stock of what you want to achieve, why, and how you will go about it. Then harness your potential by filling your quiver with all of the talents, knowledge, and cunning you possess, and string the bow of burning gold with the arrows of desire. Take a deep breath and be calm. It's time to let your soul take flight. So somebody here is receiving instruction either from a goddess herself or from ancestors of some sort. And I didn't want to read a lot from the book, but we keep getting like the page, the queen, another page, and the knight, which with a major arcana. So we're going to have to be using the book a little bit right now. Let's look at the Queen of Stones. And because the Queen of Stones basically is the Queen of Pentacles, it represents richness and plenty, being bounty. It represents bounty, welcoming nature, making you popular with people. It's somebody that many depend on, somebody who's very naturally sensual, and that sensuality makes them powerfully attractive to others. It represents pragmatism and generosity that also open doors for you at every point. If it's a person, it can represent someone who's practical, welcoming, Someone who delights in prosperity and luxury, though they can also have a natural and wholesome simplicity. As a friend, they're loyal, keeping faith with you and being frank about issues that need improvement. This can be a treasurer or a curator of tradition, but she can also be a hoarder or a squanderer, as well as a demanding or timid individual. If it's a process, then it can be learning to manage things wisely, preserving things of value, making things better, providing amenities, and be careful of wasting resources. If it's an event, it's about practicing a craft or design, being expansive and liberal, a group or community, putting the family first, right or wrong, and refusing to nurture. So if this is somebody who's passing on tradition, this could be describing the person that is passing on the tradition, somebody who is very bountiful, powerful, but they're also grounded, pragmatic, they're practical. They're a part of a community in some way. So because these three did come out together, these three could be part of a community that you may be joining here soon, because the Page of Arrows and the Queen of Arrows are connected. So these could be family members, or these could be, it doesn't have to be. It could just be that this is going to be your teacher, but this is another aspect of them. Let's see. Let's look at the Queen of Arrows, the Swan. Okay, because the Queen of Arrows basically represents the Queen of Swords, this could represent purity, loss, change, suffering, song, absence, scarcity, freedom after strife, a strong and regal protector. And it could also be referring to a state of separation that brings sorrow, privation, and misfortune. It may be referring to the need to break old bonds, remember, releasing the old, and finding new rivers in which to swim if you are to move beyond this place of darkness and loss. If it's a person, it can represent someone who's honest, they have integrity, pure focus, they are astute, difficult to trick, a career man or woman, direct and outspoken, they can figure out what's going on quickly. Intelligence and independence bring the ability to overcome events and carry on despite stress. And if it's an aspect or a process, it can refer to facing unpleasant truths, not bearing fools gladly, sorrow from loss, assessing things astutely, rational explanation or scientific view, going to the heart of things, and sadness lingering. And if it's an event, it's, basically telling you that there's a truth that needs to be spoken to avoid misunderstanding. It can be setting the ground rules clearly, separation, breakup, or absence, finding freedom in the midst of restraint, and ideals turning sour. So, again, this may be, I don't know if you're the Page of Arrows or you're the Queen of Arrows, but if you're the Page, it means you need to learn from this Queen. And if you're the Queen, it means you need to pass on these skills to others. Last but not least, let's look at the Page of Bows, the little stoat, and then we'll start clarifying these. Okay, so the stoat actually has for a long time been linked to the sovereignty of the land, because it's covered in the mystical colors, or ancient colors that were considered in the past ancient mystical colors. So its fur goes from white to red, and then it has black on its tail. Those were, in the ancient world, the three sacred colors. So that's why. But anywho, this represents secrecy, anonymity, extraordinariness, a prodigy, strange tidings, a free spirit, dreams, vision, the appearance of a stranger. Now, the stoat energy can be somebody who's seen as an emissary, or, if that is so, then their gifts are very widely recognized and honored. So this is someone who has visibility. This is not somebody who's, very different from the wren. The wren is seen as a common bird. Even if it's a special bird, it's still seen as a common bird, whereas the stoat would not be. So already we have a clear difference. These three cards are one person, is what I feel. And the Page of Arrows is another person. Because this goes hand in hand with the Queen of Arrows. The stoat energy is somebody who has the ability to perceive the truth in almost any matter, and that makes them very helpful. They also have a free spirit, so they're marked as a unique and original personality. So if it's a person, it can represent a charming and adventurous individual who may act as an ambassador, or he or she can sometimes be overzealous, a stranger who moves through your life. They may be a catalyst for change. As a friend, they can be a go-between who represents your interest, but they can also be hasty and gullible. As a process or an aspect, it could be working your way up the ladder, learning to engage with life, devotion to an interest or hobby, being indiscriminate and jumping into the thick of things. As an event, it can represent unexpected news, help from out of the blue, an opportunity to shine, a dream or vision, and strange, unsettling news. So, whoever it is that you're going to work with, it doesn't matter which side of this you're on. They may be same age as you or similar age, but I do feel like the wren is one person and the stoat, swan, bear is a whole other person. And there's some sort of passing on of instruction from this person to the Page of Arrows. And maybe it's about teaching them how to set intentions and follow through with it. So let's see. Clarify Seven of Bows. Let's get some clarity on these. What is it that needs to be released? Clarify the Seven of Bows. Okay. Temperance, Seven of Wands, and the Ten of Wands. Well, the Seven of Bows came out twice. As well as the, see, Eight of Cups. Okay. So whoever the little Page of Arrows is, the wren, and I say little only because I'm looking at the little bird, not because this person has to be small in stature or size. This is somebody who likes harmony. They like to get along with everybody. What they need to learn is how to set boundaries. They need to figure out what type of people cause them burdens, whether emotional, physical, financial, and they need to learn to let go. Oh, for sure. For sure. Now, this could be a masculine. King of Wands energy. See, there's that Queen of Pentacles. So this could be a masculine going towards a feminine for instruction, or this is a feminine who needs to learn masculine energy and be able to set boundaries and be assertive. Know when to say no, know when to say, I'm not into that, I don't want that, that doesn't help me, I refuse to be a part of that, etc. Tell us about this Page of Arrows. What else do we need to know? Two of Swords. Tell us about the little Page of Arrows. There's the Queen of Swords. Actually, this makes more sense. Six of Swords, the Queen of Swords. Again, Eight of Cups. Okay, so whoever this Page of Arrows is, they are trying to go towards the Queen of Swords, who is this swan. But there is some indecision here. I think there's a little bit of hesitancy because whoever the wren is, they know that when they come under instruction of this Queen of Swords, the fact that they this person over here is showing up as Artemis to them, they very much look up to this Queen of Swords, Queen of Stones. But at the same time, there's a little bit of like, they know that this person has, they're not going to beat around the bush. And this person will call them out. If they are deceiving themselves, if they are not being honest, this is someone who will make that very clear. So there is some hesitation still in approaching this Queen of Arrows. And this is why being self-aware, being honest is actually a protection, because people who lie or people who know that they're not always honest with themselves or who can't always see themselves clearly, they understand that you can see them clearly, even if they cannot see themselves clearly. But if you don't see yourself clearly, you won't be able to see them clearly. Because I do think, I mean, the Six and the Queen is the Seven of Swords, and then the Two of Swords with the Queen is the Three of Swords. So there's not only 8 swords here, there's 9 swords, there's 3 swords, there's 7 swords. There's a lot of anxiety going on with the wren, because if they were to abandon this mentality that they have of everybody gets along. Now, keep in mind, because we did have seduction here, we did have possibly, this could be like a love offer. whoever this Ren is, it doesn't matter whether it's male or female, because that's up to y'all. Only y'all. I'm reading energies, right? But this is someone who is afraid, number one, that they can't match up to this person. They look at them like a goddess, like somebody central, somebody who can see the truth, somebody who's a catalyst. But at the same time, if they are being a catalyst to this person, then maybe them walking away from something towards this queen is part of the reason that they're being drawn towards each other. Because we've seen this twice already. And then the Seven of Bows is clearance. There's something this person would have to let go of. Something that they've held on to for a really long time. But that doesn't have to be, like, it could be like maybe they're a part of a community that doesn't like this queen. They could be a part of a family that would not accept her. Whatever it is, there's something that they need to walk away from before they can join her, before they can be a part of her legacy. So if this is you, I think that you really need to ask yourself, what it is that you're afraid of. If you're afraid of losing whatever it is that you need to extract from your life, why? What would it mean for you to lose that? What is it that you're afraid of if you don't have that in your life? Let's look at the 10 of arrows. 5 of cups. Oh, that's it right there. The star. 10 of arrows. 7 of pentacles. Look, I told you. 9 of arrows. Okay. So whoever the Ren is, remember when I was talking about instruction is things passed down from parents? Something about what your family has passed on to you has you in this state of, I don't know that I can do this. Because whatever this queen of air, whatever this goddess, because this could be a goddess, this could be you feeling the call of the goddess and you're scared because you're like, I would be going against the instruction of my elders. I would be going against the tradition of my families. And so there's a lot of anxiety here. There's a lot of worry. There's a lot of, I would disappoint people who care about me. And, right now I'm their special baby, but if I were to let go of everything I've invested in this, I don't know, for all I know, I might fail over here too. Because this could be like a spiritual emissary. And you're having a really hard time. Yeah, you're having a really hard time coming to terms with this. Because you've invested so much in this previous life, in this previous way of life, that coming towards a goddess that can see you clearly, that can see exactly who you are, is terrifying to you. You're not sure that you want to, you're just like, I don't know if I want to do that. Okay, I'm going to clarify the Archer last, and then we're going to move on to the part 2. Clarify the Archer. Tell us about this Archer. Look, what did I just say? Feeling the call from the goddess. Clarify the Archer. The Chariot. Oh, and yep, the Hermit. I see what it is. The Pentacles. I feel like some of you think that you're the goddess and you're actually the Ren. And the reason that I'm pointing it out is because the Ren is clever, right? They're intelligent, they're dexterous, they're, a good friend. But to become a goddess requires not only connection to your higher self and answering the call of a goddess, but it also requires a lot of determination, and it requires a strong will. If you want to receive knowledge from her, you have to be able to go through initiations. You have to be able to go through a purification system. She's not just going to hand knowledge to you because you've got to go through her training. And a lot of you are like, I don't know what I can do that. Like, I mean, I could, but maybe I can't, but I don't know about this and I don't know about that. And you're weighing out the pros and cons of like, if I could, but what if I can't? But I want to, and what if I did, but what if I don't? So you're weighing out what you want to do. But the call is being made. Whether you answer it or not is because you know that you have to take this seriously. You know, this isn't about being witchy aesthetic. This isn't about experimenting. This isn't about just, you know, playing around. This is a lifestyle. Okay, I'm going to start part 1 here, and I will see you guys on part 2. If you want to go ahead and help me out in my algorithm, make sure to like, share, comment, and I will see you guys on part 2. Bye-bye.